Jason Statham leaves poor wife for mistress, then faces her shocking comeback with a secret baby. The ballroom buzzed with energy, an opulent blend of wealth and power. Crystal chandeliers cast shimmering light on the meticulously dressed crowd at the annual London Elite Business Gala. At the center of it all stood Jason Statham, a man of unshakable confidence and commanding presence. Clad in a custom-tailored Armani tuxedo, Jason exuded success, every bit the billionaire entrepreneur who had turned Statham Industries into a global empire. Guests flocked to him, eager to exchange words with the man whose sharp mind and daring business tactics had made headlines worldwide. With a glass of vintage champagne in hand, Jason flashed his signature smirk, his chiseled jawline accentuating his enigmatic charm. He belonged here, surrounded by the elite, basking in the glory of his achievements. But as the evening progressed, his smile wavered. The admiration of strangers felt hollow. Despite the grandeur, there was an emptiness he couldn't shake. It was as though the opulence around him mocked what he had sacrificed to reach the top. Amid the clinking of glasses and murmurs of wealth, a figure stepped into the spotlight, Amelia Hart. The striking heiress was a vision of allure, her floor-length crimson gown clinging to her every curve. Her golden locks cascaded down her back, and her piercing blue eyes sparkled with mischief. Amelia had her sights set on Jason. She moved through the crowd like a predator, her heels clicking softly against the polished marble floor. When she finally reached him, she placed a hand on his arm, her touch lingering. "Jason," she purred, her voice low and intoxicating. "You've outdone yourself tonight, as always." He chuckled, his exterior composed, though he couldn't deny her magnetism. "Flattery won't get you far, Amelia," he teased, but his eyes betrayed his intrigue. Amelia leaned in, her breath warm against his ear. "Who said I was trying to get far? Sometimes all you need is proximity." The line blurred between the business mogul and the man tempted by desire. The room faded as Amelia whispered promises of a life unrestrained by the demands of duty and love. Jason, captivated by her confidence and allure, found himself drawn deeper into her web. In the quiet of their London penthouse, far removed from the glamour of the gala, Sophia sat alone, clutching a photo of her and Jason from simpler times. Her chest tightened as the weight of his absence settled over her. The warmth and laughter that had once filled their home had been replaced by cold silence. Jason's increasing distance wasn't just physical, it was emotional. His late nights, the evasion in his eyes, and the whispers of Amelia had painted a picture Sophia couldn't ignore. Though she still loved him, she felt her heart breaking under the strain of a love unreciprocated. When Jason finally returned, his tuxedo slightly askew and the scent of a woman's perfume faintly lingering, Sophia confronted him. Her voice trembled but held firm. "Jason, I can't do this anymore. You've chosen your world, and someone else." He didn't deny it. His silence was all the confirmation she needed. With tears streaming down her face, Sophia gathered her belongings and walked away, leaving behind not just the penthouse but the man she had once believed in. As the elevator doors closed, she promised herself one thing: she wouldn't look back. The train rattled softly as it sped through the English countryside, carrying Sophia away from the life she once knew. Her suitcase sat by her side, a symbol of her fresh start. She glanced out the window, her reflection faint against the sprawling green hills. The pain of her shattered marriage still clung to her, but beneath it burned a quiet determination. Sophia arrived in Manchester, a city far from the luxury of her old world. She rented a modest flat on the outskirts, the creak of the floorboards and faint smell of fresh paint reminding her that this was a place she could make her own. Gone were the penthouses and designer furniture. In their place was a cozy space she could call home, one that carried no echoes of Jason. Each day was a battle to rebuild. Sophia worked long hours at a local fabric shop, the textures of cotton and linen grounding her in the present. Though the job was humble, it reminded her of her love for design. Slowly, she began sketching again, ideas for clothes that were simple, sustainable, and meaningful. Every thread she touched wove together the pieces of her broken spirit. Months passed, and Sophia found herself facing an unexpected twist in her journey. In a routine doctor's appointment, she received life-altering news. She was pregnant. The child was Jason's, conceived in the final days of their strained relationship. At first, fear gripped her. How could she raise a child alone? The weight of the responsibility seemed insurmountable. But as the weeks turned into months, fear gave way to a fierce love. She resolved to protect her baby, to give them the life they deserved, one free from the shadows of Jason's betrayal. When her son, Alex, was born, it was as though the world finally made sense again. His soft brown curls and bright hazel eyes were a mirror of Jason's, but his presence filled her with a love she had never known. He became her anchor, her purpose, and her greatest joy. Sophia shielded Alex from the past, keeping the truth about his father a secret. To her, it was better this way. She didn't need Jason's wealth or influence. She had all she needed in her son's laughter and the strength she had built within herself. Determined to provide for Alex and reclaim her dreams, Sophia poured herself into her passion for fashion. She worked tirelessly at night, transforming her living room into a makeshift studio. With Alex asleep in his crib, Sophia sketched designs by the soft glow of a desk lamp, her sewing machine humming steadily in the background. She launched her brand, Alex & Company, a line of sustainable, handcrafted clothing inspired by her love for simplicity and her son's boundless curiosity. Word spread quickly among local markets, and soon her pieces were featured in boutique shops across Manchester. Each sale felt like a small victory, a step toward the life she envisioned for herself and Alex. Sophia's flat, though modest, was warm and filled with love. The scent of lavender candles mixed with the soft hum of a lullaby as she rocked Alex to sleep each night. Despite the challenges, she found peace in the life she had built. A life crafted not from wealth, but from resilience and purpose. As Alex grew, Sophia taught him the values of kindness, hard work, and creativity. She showed him how to thread a needle, told him bedtime stories about bravery, and always reminded him that the two of them were a team. Together, they faced the world, piece by piece, stitch by stitch. Jason Statham stood at the apex of success, yet the view felt hollow. His London penthouse offered a panoramic display of the city's glittering skyline, a testament to his accomplishments. But within those walls, the silence was deafening. His days were a relentless parade of meetings, negotiations, and celebrations. Each deal was another notch on his belt, but no amount of wealth or accolades filled the void in his chest. His evenings were spent at opulent galas, Amelia often by his side, draped in designer gowns that turned heads but failed to stir his heart. He had everything the world said he should want: power, prestige, and the admiration of strangers. But the deeper he sank into his empire of glass and steel, the more he realized it lacked a foundation. His life was a gilded cage, beautiful but suffocating. And when the champagne glasses clinked and the crowds cheered his name, he felt more alone than ever. It was always in the quiet moments that the memories crept in. Jason would sit by the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse, a glass of whiskey in hand, staring out at the city that never slept. But his mind would drift to a simpler time. He would see Sophia's warm smile, hear her laughter echo in their tiny kitchen, feel the softness of her touch. He remembered the way she supported him when he was nothing but a man with a dream. She had believed in him when no one else did. And yet, he had thrown it all away for a world that now felt meaningless. Amelia noticed his distraction, of course. "You're miles away," she'd say, her tone sharp, her gaze probing. But Jason never answered. How could he explain the ache of regret that kept him awake at night? That no matter how much he achieved, it was never enough to silence the voice in his head whispering, "You made a mistake." Jason's world shifted one morning as he scanned the latest headlines on his tablet over breakfast. Among the usual financial news and gossip columns, one article caught his eye. Rising innovator, Alex & Company, makes waves in sustainable fashion. The article praised a new designer, Sophia Turner, for her groundbreaking work in sustainable clothing. Jason froze as he read her name, the words on the screen blurring as his mind raced. Sophia Turner. Could it be her? Curiosity turned into compulsion. Jason searched for more about her brand, finding photos of her work and a small bio about the designer herself. There was no denying it, this was his Sophia. And she wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. But what struck him most was a photograph. It wasn't of Sophia or her designs but of a young boy, her son. He had Jason's eyes, his smile. The resemblance was undeniable. Jason's heart pounded as realization dawned. The boy wasn't just any child, he was his child. In that moment, the walls of Jason's carefully curated life began to crumble. The woman he had betrayed had not only rebuilt her world, but had done so while carrying a secret he never imagined. The weight of his choices pressed down on him, and for the first time in years, Jason felt the stirrings of something he thought he had lost: purpose. He needed to see Sophia, to know the truth, and to confront the past he had spent so long running from. Sophia's hands trembled as she held the invitation to the International Design Innovators Gala in New York City. It was more than an honor, it was validation of years of hard work. Her brand, Alex & Company, had been nominated for the prestigious Rising Innovator Award. But the excitement was quickly overshadowed by dread. The event meant returning to a city she hadn't seen in years, one filled with memories she had worked so hard to leave behind. Sophia hesitated. Would Jason be there? The thought of facing him, of him discovering Alex, filled her with unease. But as she watched her son play with his toy dinosaurs, his giggles filling their modest flat, she realized she couldn't let fear dictate her decisions. This was her moment, one she had earned. She would face the past, not for Jason, but for herself and Alex. When the plane touched down in New York, Sophia felt a strange mix of nostalgia and resolve. The city was the same, bustling with life, but she wasn't. She was no longer the quiet, unassuming wife of a powerful man. She was Sophia Turner, a mother, a businesswoman, and a woman who had built her life from the ground up. And she was ready to prove it. The gala was a dazzling affair, held in the heart of Manhattan at the Plaza Hotel. Glittering chandeliers bathed the room in a golden glow as the city's elite mingled over champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Sophia's emerald green gown flowed like liquid silk, a quiet statement of her confidence and elegance. She moved through the room with poise, exchanging polite smiles and handshakes, though her heart raced at the thought of what, or who, awaited her. Jason spotted her before she noticed him. He had been engaged in conversation with investors when his gaze landed on her. For a moment he froze. Sophia looked radiant, poised in a way that took his breath away. But beneath her calm exterior, he saw something familiar, an inner strength he had underestimated all those years ago. Unable to resist, Jason crossed the room toward her, his presence commanding as always. "Sophia," he said, his voice low but unmistakable. She turned, her expression a mix of surprise and guardedness. "Jason," she replied evenly. Their exchange was brief but charged, every word heavy with unspoken emotions. Around them, the crowd carried on, unaware of the tension that crackled between the former lovers. Before Jason could say more, a voice interrupted them. "Sophia Turner, I've been looking forward to meeting you." It was Jonathan Pierce, the charismatic CEO of a major retail chain and one of the evening's keynote speakers. His genuine praise for Sophia's work created a buffer between her and Jason, allowing her to regain her composure. But even as she smiled and spoke with Jonathan, she could feel Jason's gaze on her, piercing through the crowd like a magnet. Later that evening, Jason found Sophia by the grand windows overlooking Fifth Avenue. The hum of conversation faded as he approached her, his hands tucked into the pockets of his tailored tuxedo. "Sophia, can we talk?" he asked, his tone more vulnerable than she had expected. Sophia hesitated but nodded. They stepped into a quieter corner of the room, away from prying eyes. Jason wasted no time. "I saw the article about Alex & Company," he began, his voice careful. "And I saw the photo." Sophia stiffened, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" "Alex," Jason said softly. He's my son, isn't he? Sophia's breath hitched. She had prepared for this moment but still felt unsteady. Yes, she admitted, her voice firm. He's your son. But you don't get to walk back into my life and claim him like some lost possession. Jason ran a hand through his hair, his composure cracking. I didn't know, Sophia. If I had. She cut him off, her eyes blazing. You didn't know because you didn't care to look back. You moved on, Jason, while I was left to pick up the pieces. I've built a life for Alex, a good life. He doesn't need you. Jason's expression softened, guilt etched into every line of his face. I know I've made mistakes, Sophia, but I want to know him. I want to be part of his life. Sophia's resolve wavered for a moment, but she straightened her shoulders. This isn't about what you want, Jason. It's about what's best for Alex. And after everything, you'll have to prove to me that you're worthy of being in his life. Jason nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her words. I will, he said, his voice steady. I'll do whatever it takes. The conversation left Sophia shaken, but she knew one thing for certain. Her life was no longer defined by Jason Statham. She had fought too hard to build her world, and she wouldn't let him or anyone else take that away. As the evening drew to a close, she walked away, leaving Jason to grapple with the reality of the man he had become, and the father he hoped to be. Jason couldn't shake the image of Sophia's face as she walked away from him at the gala. Her words echoed in his mind. This isn't about what you want. It's about what's best for Alex. Determined to make things right, he reached out to her, requesting a meeting. Just the two of them. Sophia agreed reluctantly, meeting Jason at a quiet cafe near Central Park. She arrived with a steely resolve, prepared to hold her ground. Jason, on the other hand, looked uncharacteristically uneasy. For once, the man who commanded boardrooms seemed unsure of himself. Sophia, he began, his voice low, I owe you an apology, a real one. I didn't just fail you. I abandoned you when you needed me most. And for that, I'll always regret it. Sophia's eyes narrowed, her tone sharp. Regret doesn't change what happened, Jason. It doesn't erase the years I spent rebuilding my life. I know, he said quickly, leaning forward. But I want to do better, for Alex's sake. I want to know him, to be the father he deserves. Sophia's heart ached at his sincerity, but she couldn't ignore the years of pain he had caused. This isn't about what you want anymore, Jason, she replied firmly. Alex has a life, a routine, and a world where he feels safe. If you want to be part of that, you'll have to prove that you can bring something positive to his life. No promises, no shortcuts, just actions. Jason nodded solemnly. I'll do whatever it takes, Sophia. Just give me a chance. Sophia returned to her hotel that evening, her mind racing. She sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker, her thoughts a whirlwind of emotions. Could she trust Jason to keep his word? Was allowing him into Alex's life the right thing to do? Her instinct to protect her son warred with the realization that Alex deserved to know his father. The next morning, Sophia called her best friend, Natalie, back in Manchester. I don't know what to do, she admitted, her voice trembling. Jason says he wants to be part of Alex's life, but how can I trust him after everything? Natalie's voice was calm but firm. Sophia, this isn't about Jason. It's about Alex. If Jason can prove he's committed, and if it's something Alex would benefit from, then maybe it's worth considering. But you're the one in control here. Don't let him take that away. Sophia spent the rest of the day thinking about Natalie's words. That evening, as Alex played with his toy dinosaurs, she knelt beside him. Alex, she began gently, what would you think about meeting someone new? Someone very special? Alex's eyes lit up with curiosity. Who, Mommy? She smiled, brushing a curl from his forehead. Your daddy. Sophia arranged for Jason to meet Alex in the hotel's small courtyard. Jason arrived early, dressed simply in a sweater and jeans, his usual confidence tempered by nervous anticipation. He paced the cobblestone path, glancing anxiously toward the entrance. When Sophia appeared, holding Alex's hand, Jason's heart skipped a beat. The boy looked up at him with wide, curious eyes that mirrored his own. Jason knelt to meet Alex at eye level, his voice soft. "Hi, Alex. I'm your dad." Alex tilted his head, studying Jason carefully before breaking into a shy smile. "You look like me," he said simply. Jason chuckled, his voice tinged with emotion. "Yeah, I guess I do." The meeting was brief but meaningful. Jason didn't push, letting Alex dictate the pace. They talked about dinosaurs, Alex's favorite cartoons, and even played a quick game of tag in the courtyard. Sophia watched from a distance, her heart conflicted. Seeing them together stirred feelings she had buried long ago. As the day ended, Jason turned to Sophia. "Thank you for letting me meet him. I know I don't deserve this, but I promise I'll prove to you, and to him, that I can be the father he needs." Sophia nodded, her voice steady but cautious. "This is just the first step, Jason. Don't make promises you can't keep." "I won't," he said, his tone resolute. "I'm ready to earn this, one day at a time." For the first time, Sophia saw a glimmer of the man she had fallen in love with years ago. But she knew the road ahead would be long, and trust would have to be rebuilt brick by brick. Jason's second meeting with Alex was arranged a week later in the calm, green expanse of Central Park. Sophia kept her distance, giving them space while staying close enough to intervene if needed. Jason arrived early, his hands carrying a small gift, a toy dinosaur, carefully chosen after Sophia mentioned Alex's fascination. When Alex approached with Sophia, his eyes lit up at the sight of Jason. "Did you bring that for me?" Alex asked, pointing to the dinosaur in Jason's hands. Jason knelt and handed it to him with a warm smile. "I did. I heard you're a big dinosaur fan." Alex grinned and clutched the toy tightly. "I like T-Rexes. They're the best." Jason laughed. "Good choice. They're strong, just like you." The two spent the afternoon exploring the park, Jason letting Alex lead the way. They visited the playground, climbed rocks, and even shared a hot dog from a nearby vendor. Slowly but surely, Jason's gentle approach began to win over Alex. His natural charm and genuine interest in his son shone through, creating the foundation for something new. For weeks, Jason made an effort to be present in Alex's life. He visited them regularly, often bringing small surprises, a book, a puzzle, or a drawing set, and spending quality time with Alex. These moments weren't about grand gestures but small, meaningful connections. Sophia watched from the sidelines, her initial wariness giving way to cautious optimism. She couldn't deny that Jason was trying, but her trust was far from fully restored. One afternoon, after Alex had gone to bed, Jason and Sophia sat on the couch in her flat, the tension between them palpable. "Thank you for letting me be here," Jason said, his voice sincere. "I know it's not easy for you to trust me." Sophia crossed her arms, her gaze steady. "It's not about me, Jason. It's about Alex. He adores you, but I need to know you're in this for the long haul. I won't let him get hurt." Jason nodded. "I understand. And I'm not going anywhere. I've learned my lesson the hard way, Sophia. I won't take this for granted." His words resonated with her, but she remained guarded. Actions, not words, would prove his commitment. Months passed, and Jason continued to show up, not just for Alex but for Sophia as well. He didn't push her boundaries, instead focusing on earning her trust through consistency and patience. Their interactions grew more amicable, and slowly, the walls between them began to crack. One weekend, Jason invited them both to a small, private zoo he had rented for the day, a gesture aimed at giving Alex an unforgettable experience. The little boy's excitement was contagious as he ran from enclosure to enclosure, marveling at the animals. Jason's pride in his son was evident, his laughter echoing as Alex mimicked a roaring lion. Near the end of the day, Alex turned to Jason and tugged on his hand. "Daddy, can we do this again?" Jason's chest tightened at the word daddy. It was the first time Alex had called him that, and the moment was more profound than anything Jason had ever experienced. He knelt, pulling Alex into a hug. "We can do this as many times as you want, buddy." Sophia watched from a distance, her eyes misty. For the first time, She allowed herself to believe that Jason's intentions were genuine. He had made mistakes, but the man in front of her now wasn't the same one who had left her years ago. That night, as they walked back to the car, Alex clung to Jason's hand, his chatter filling the quiet evening air. Sophia walked a few steps behind, a smile tugging at her lips. For the first time in years, the three of them felt like a family, not perfect but real. Sophia stood in her studio, surrounded by sketches, fabric samples, and a faint hum of creativity in the air. Alex was at school, and the quiet was filled with the rhythm of her sewing machine. Her fashion brand, Alex & Company, had grown beyond her wildest dreams. What began as a modest endeavor was now a name recognized in the sustainable fashion world, earning her respect as both a designer and a businesswoman. She glanced at the framed Rising Innovator Award on her desk, a tangible reminder of how far she had come. Sophia no longer saw herself as someone defined by Jason's shadow. She was her own person, strong, independent, and capable. But the journey hadn't been without its struggles. She had learned to embrace the challenges and let go of the bitterness that once consumed her. Sophia realized that holding onto the past only held her back. She had chosen to focus on her future, for herself and for Alex. Jason's transformation was slow but undeniable. He no longer hid behind his wealth or status, instead committing himself fully to being a part of Alex's life. He attended school events, helped with bedtime stories, and even spent weekends baking cookies, a skill he hilariously fumbled at first but eventually mastered under Alex's enthusiastic guidance. Sophia noticed the change in him. He wasn't the man who had left her years ago. Jason was patient, attentive, and most importantly, consistent. For Alex, he was becoming the father he deserved. And for Sophia, his actions spoke louder than words, slowly rebuilding the trust he had once shattered. One evening, as they sat together watching Alex draw dinosaurs on the living room floor, Jason turned to Sophia. "I know I can't change the past," he said softly, "but I hope I can prove to you that I'm not the same man who walked away." Sophia looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "You've come a long way, Jason. But this isn't just about proving yourself to me. It's about showing Alex that he can count on you." Jason nodded, his determination unwavering. "I won't let him down. Or you." Months turned into a year, and life found a new rhythm. Jason's presence in Alex's life became a constant, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day. He learned to cherish the small moments, helping Alex build Lego creations, cheering him on at soccer games, and laughing at his endless questions about dinosaurs. Sophia, too, began to find peace. Forgiving Jason wasn't easy, but it was necessary for her own healing. She didn't forgive to erase the past, but to move forward without its weight holding her down. One sunny autumn afternoon, the three of them walked through a park, the leaves crunching beneath their feet. Alex ran ahead, chasing a squirrel, his laughter filling the crisp air. Jason turned to Sophia, his voice gentle. "Thank you for giving me a second chance." Sophia smiled, her heart lighter than it had been in years. "We all make mistakes, Jason. What matters is what we do after." As they watched Alex play, the future felt full of possibilities. Their journey hadn't been easy, and the scars of the past would always be there. But they had found a way to move forward, not as a perfect family, but as one built on resilience, love, and a commitment to try again. Jason's redemption and Sophia's strength remind us that life is a journey of growth and second chances. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past but allows us to shape the future. Their story is a testament to the courage it takes to rebuild, the strength it takes to forgive, and the hope that lies in every new beginning. Let me know if this conclusion works, or if there are any final tweaks you'd like.